Hello again, it's 12 UK time. You're still watching MEF Connects Wholesale. We carry on talking messaging. And on this particular occasion, I'm really glad to welcome Joanna from HAUD. Thank you very much, Joanna. Hello.
Hi, Susie.
Hello, great to have you here. HAUD is
great to be here.
Welcome. HAUD is it is sponsoring the event, and a big thank you for this. You have a lot to talk about when it comes to A2P SMS and authentication, so we carry on this theme, but we're very eager to hear what you have for us today, and I'll let you introduce your colleague and give you the floor. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, Susie. It's a pleasure to be here again. So welcome everyone to today's session on defeating the bot and ensuring the messaging chain. My name is Joanna Kuligowska. I work as Head of Global Market Intelligence at HAUD. Just a few words about us. HAUD is a technology provider that helps our customers to secure, monetize, automate, and scale the messaging businesses. And today's session is particularly interesting. As technology advances, bots have become a really integral part of our daily lives, from really customer service chatbots and virtual assistants to automated social media interactions. And as these automated systems and bots are increasingly prevalent, maintaining the integrity and authenticity of communication channel has never been more critical. So today I'm joined by my colleague Ron Bonnici, our Vice President of Product, to discuss the strategies and technologies that can help us combat these malicious bots and safeguard the messaging chain. So welcome, Ron.
Hi, Joanna. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the great introduction. Yeah, if I may add to this, I mean, bots have been around for quite some time now, and with the latest advanced in technologies, especially AI, as you were aware, these have become more sophisticated, and now they're even capable of mimicking user behavior, which makes the solution more complex, right? So I also would like to mention I was following the previous sessions, the one before us, and I fully concur with what has been said. So fraud is actually there, will remain there. All the channels need to be protected, so no channel, no messaging channel. I mean, all these are subject to the same threats. Before we jump to the presentation, I would like to set some context to our solution. So basically, the messaging value chain, right? Keeping this in mind, HAUD has built a solution which is built for the CPaaS players and also for the operators, okay, with the brand and subscriber in mind. So to protect those players, actually, like the brand and the end user, which sits on the opposite side of the whole value chain, right? So we have the brand on one side, the subscriber on the other, and that's the way they communicate. So we want to be able to protect the full chain. So that's what we will be presenting today. If you don't mind putting the slides up. Sure. So let's go to the first slide. So one of the most asked questions. So again, keeping the brand and the subscriber. Let's start from the subscriber. One of the most asked question is, are subscribers losing trust in the communication channels, and why? Right. So here, I mean, we've seen a lot of reports from industry players, right, regarding this subject. Here, I'm referencing XConnect and Mobile Squared, right, and showcasing the different type of threats that exist, right, have been reported lately. These last 2 years, we've seen 2023 growing exponentially. So here we see that most of these are basically related to brands and subscribers, right? So these have implications on both ends. And why bots? Because bots facilitate mostly all of these, right? So if you see smishing, for example, phishing, if we see international revenue share fraud, if we look at artificial inflation of traffic, right? So identity fraud. These are all threats facilitated by bots. Okay, if we jump to the next slide, we see how brands now are impacted. Again, referencing here Mobile Squared, we see, I mean, the numbers speaks for themselves. We've seen in 2023, for example, 5% of the reported traffic accounted to artificial traffic inflation. Okay, which basically brings the cost brands up to 1.6 billion, and 50% the combination of 80 and high termination rates impacting international traffic. So again, mentioning the authentication OTP traffic, here we see a huge impact on this kind of traffic. I have another slide, the next slide. This is basically from GLF, which also carriers and operators reporting 60% of high volume of artificial inflated traffic. So this is the extent of the threat that we are facing. Okay, if we look at the solution that we have developed, we are actually addressing 4 main concerns. Okay, we call them concerns that are, like I said, on the value chain between the brands and the subscriber. Obviously, artificial inflation of traffic comes first. It's top of the list. We will delve into it further in these next slides. However, I want to mention as well the other 3, okay, which is basically message trashing, where you have a message which is sent but is obviously lost in the chain. What is the implication of this? So basically, you have a subscriber which is not a real subscriber, which is not receiving the OTP, right? So there is a reputational damage on the brand side, apart from the cost as well, right? And also, I mean, if there's trashing and then the brand stops sending certain traffic, there is an opportunity cost there as well, because obviously the communication is not completed. Then you have SID manipulation. What does SID manipulation? We've noticed this from our past. I mean, we've been in this business for quite some time. We see the message is sent by a brand, but in the chain down the line, the send is changed to either a generic SID or a domestic SID. Obviously, all this is done for the nefarious players to maximize their profits, right? So then you have here the subscriber receiving a message which is not coming from the legit sender ID. The 4th one is channel exploitation. What do I mean by this? Again, you have brands which are paying for a service, let's say, for example, SMS, and then down the line, this is converted in some other type of channel, right? Again, to maximize the profits. We've seen various types of methods used, like the flash calling, for example, which is and was one of the discussions that we had in the past. Okay, can you hear me, Joanna? Because I got a message that
yeah, okay. There was some sound issue, but I think it's okay now. Yeah, so we can move on. Hopefully, this won't happen again.
All right. I'm not sure if I was okay. Let's continue. So, artificial inflation of traffic. There are various types, various flavors of artificial inflation of traffic, complicated enough, right? And to break it down, to make it a bit more simpler here, I've listed 4 of them, which are the most common types that we combat, right? So these are the fake accounts, which again are bots generated, okay, where you have an account which is a fake account and start sending this requests, basically. Okay, some of them as well, I've highlighted here in 1.b, some of them are being trashed along the value chain as well. So we keep this in mind as I explain later on how HAUD solution works. Then you have the fake users, right? So where traffic is created, okay, via fake numbers, okay, owned fake numbers. There's no real user behind it. And then you have fake traffic, which is basically pumping of traffic. And the fourth one is the multiple attempts to deliver OTP. This is also part of the trashing that I was mentioning earlier, which indirectly as well is creating artificial inflation of traffic. Why? Because obviously I am a real user, I'm requesting an OTP, but the OTP is not delivered, so I will request another and another, and obviously all the time the brand is charged for this message, and the user gets frustrated, as we know. So because it's not receiving, especially if I don't know, if you're accessing your bank account, right? You want to get this message delivered as soon as possible. If we go to the next slide, we have our proposed solution. So what are we proposing here? As I mentioned earlier, so the solution that we have designed takes the CPaaS player up to the operator. HAUD takes different type of data sets from multiple sources, okay, and provide a guarantee of the delivery of the message. We have, as we go into more detail later on, split this into two. What we do here is we provide a risk assessment based on two factors, based on the messaging part and also on the subscriber part. So when we speak about the message, again, you have the flow, right, coming from the brand down to the operator. We want to make sure that the message is flowing in the right order and in the right through the right channels. Okay. When it comes to the subscriber, when it comes to the artificial traffic inflation, you want to make sure that you are not communicating with a bot. So you want to verify the subscriber. And as I mentioned in the beginning, bots are very intelligent now. They're mimicking behaviors. So we need different data sets. Okay. We leverage as well the mobile operator APIs. Okay, to provide certain intelligence on the number. Okay, we have an algorithm internally that, based on these APIs, together with the analytical trends based on the brands and also behavior of the users, then we can compute certain risks assessment. Again, this also involves analyzing the number, right, history number, since we have these different data sets, conducting analysis, pattern analysis to identify the data trends. Two things that are provided by HAUD here is the risk score of the number and also the reconciliation reports. So if we go to the next slide, start breaking it down a bit further, let's discuss the message verification first. So as I mentioned, we need to make sure that the message, first of all, is verified. Okay, how do we do this? So the brands send the message, the operator receives the message. Since HAUD is in the between, we can reconcile the message. We can say, okay, this message has been sent by brand X, has been received, and has been delivered, right? So we make sure that the full chain is closed. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we look at if the sender ID is the same as the original, if the channel that has been used is used actually in the delivery process, and then we can evaluate and generate reports. Something else we do based on these messages is the analytical part, right? So we see the behavior of certain brands vis-a-vis the subscriber. So if you have in each different country, kind of varies, right? So you have, just to give an example, the notification or OTP. So how many OTPs usually this particular brand sends to this subscribers, and we do analyze that and report any anomalies when it comes to spikes, etc. Finally, there's the message delivery assurance. As I alluded to, when you sit between the CPaaS and also the operator, we can make sure that that message has landed on the operator, right? Has not been trashed and has been delivered through the right means. Okay, thank you, Joanna. Next is the subscriber verification. Okay, so message verification, subscriber verification. Like I said, one of the things that the brands would need to make sure of, and I think here we're speaking about with whom you are communicating, right? As I said earlier, you need to make sure that the communication, the message has been delivered, but also to the right individual, to the right subscriber. Okay, just reading some comments here. I still have connection, Joanna, right? So you can hear me.
No, yeah, all good, yeah.
Okay, thanks. So the subscriber requests an OTP, right? Or request to start a conversation, okay, with a brand. The brand in this case needs to make sure, right, that the subscriber is valid. So we need to validate the subscriber. And how do we do this? As I mentioned earlier, we do collect data sets from different sources. One of them is the operator, okay, and compute a scoring mechanism. The enterprise and the CPaaS send an API call to our HAUD solution, and we give them back what we call it a score analysis. Okay, based on the score, then the enterprise can decide either not to initiate this conversation, or else, obviously, if it's of a low risk, then the communication can start. That is in a nutshell how the HAUD solution works. Okay, if we go to the next slide, please, we'll go into the benefits. Okay, so why have we designed this particular solution? Well, I mean, as I said, I mean, we've seen the necessity that we close the channel, right? To close the chain between the two entities, to bring commercial transparency of the messaging chain. Sorry. So like this, we will have a cleaner value chain. We know that what is being paid for is actually being delivered. So the level of service that has been promised to the brand is the actual service that the brand is getting. The fraud detection by eliminating bots, right? So by eliminating bots means that most of the frauds are removed. Again, this is not only a financial impact. Something that I must mention is the smishing, right, which we will not have time today to address, but this is also a growing concern of most of the operators, where you have these kind of scams, which are also starting from these automated bots, right? So we make sure that the fraud there, being both artificial traffic inflation and smishing, is eliminated as much as possible for both the subscriber and the brands to trust all the messaging channels, right? To trust the channel that they are communicating on. Cost control, again, removing all the fraudulent traffic. We have basically control on the costs, right? The brand knows exactly the cost, how much they're paying, okay? And finally, because finally, we have quality improvement due to guaranteed delivery, right? So we, as I said earlier, I'm repeating, we need to make sure that the brand sends the message is delivered in its original state. Okay, there's no manipulation to the message, and is sent to a verified user. Okay, Joanna, can we go to the next slide, please? Questions and answers.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ron. That was very insightful. I have some questions for you, but it seems also we do have a question from the audience. So perhaps we'll take this one first, and then we'll move to some questions of my own. So we have as a question, how can solution providers like HAUD detect bypass through OTT channels like WhatsApp and Viber? Is this something you can share with the audience here?
Well, the question is written here. How can solution providers like HAUD detect bypass through OTT channels like WhatsApp and Viber? A very good question, actually. As I said, I mean, here what we do is, together with the originator of the message, the brand, right, and the CPaaS, we identify the type of messages, right? There are different entry points in the network that we needs to be monitored, right, to make sure that the message is flowing from the right channel. We do have testing mechanisms that have are agreed with the brands that is originating this type of traffic, like WhatsApp and Viber, right, to make sure that, again, the right mechanisms are used. Something about WhatsApp, for example, beyond the bots right at the moment. So WhatsApp bypass, for example, what we see is so for example, you have WhatsApp numbers being used, long numbers being used to send OTP messages, right, which is also a WhatsApp bypass. So for example, we see a lot of as generic SIDs as well being used also for this kind of bypass, right? So that is something that being at the operator side, again, providing also to WhatsApp, like a hyperscaler, right, information about the subscriber to make sure that the subscriber is legit, okay, and the traffic that is the subscriber is sending or receiving is actually true, a true user.
Great. So yeah, you're talking about subscriber identity. So we'd like to understand from you, why is identity important in fraud control? We only have 5 minutes left, but maybe we can squeeze 2 questions. So why is identity important?
Yeah, it's a very simple answer, right? Yet it's a solution which is complex. So it is very important to protect the subscriber identity. I mean, nowadays everybody is online, right? And there's so much value in knowing with whom you're communicating. As I said, I mean, I as a subscriber sometimes find it difficult to know to whom I am actually interacting with. So having an identity is very important. Making sure that the user is actually, the subscribers verified, is very important. I mean, the guys before us were also discussing this. So we at HAUD believe in the verification of the subscriber and maintaining and protecting the subscriber identity, which is crucial for the evolution, and safeguarding of the messaging channel, we believe. This is the communication between the brands and the subscribers, but also between the subscribers themselves. As I said, I need to make sure that if I receive a message with a URL, for example, this is actually a URL which is not a smishing, right? That I can trust the source from where I have received the message.
You spoke a lot about the fragmentation of the value chain and how the solution brings the closed loop, if you will. But I wanted to ask you this question: who is ultimately responsible for protecting the subscriber?
Yeah, very good question, this. Well, I believe all players within the value chain should assume accountability and responsibility in maintaining the integrity, right, and the clarity of the communication channel, as I mentioned. So ultimately, this will benefit both end users, both the brand and the subscriber. So we, as we just sit in the middle, we need to make sure that we keep abreast, right, and protecting the users. The normal users primarily interact with the operator and brand. So for them would be the brands, which I have a vested interest in maintaining a positive reputation, in my opinion. So like unrequested messages, non-delivery of expected messages, or delivery through incorrect channels, for example, which I mentioned earlier, channel exploitation, can all damage brand trust and integrity. On the other hand, there's the operators, right? So the operators are easily accessible for the subscribers. So due to their direct relationship with subscribers, they're often the first point of contact. So if I have a problem, I call and complain to them directly. So they are responsible for ensuring the clean and reliable communication channel. And they do have the data, right? So they have data sets that can provide, and we've seen these initiatives of Open API and stuff like this, which is a good initiative and still growing. And I think it's important for the whole ecosystem. If I have to conclude, so HAUD, I mean, recognizes, right? Like I said earlier, and that's why we built this to close the loop between the CPaaS and the operator. So that's what we want. We want to get the data sets. We want to compare it. We want to make sure that everything flows in a good manner, nothing, remove all the threats, and remain trustworthy. This applies for all the messaging channels. As I said, I mean, the messaging is growing. I've heard before that authentication might use other type of mechanisms, which I fully agree as well. But obviously, messaging per se will stay, right? So this is growing. I think it's growing. So I believe that would be my answer. I mean, in short, HAUD, I mean, that's why you have developed the HAUD, the messaging assurance solution, to safeguard the brands and the operator's reputation at the end of the day, which is essential in this case.
Thank you so very much for sharing your insights. We're running out of time for the session. It was pretty short, but very interesting. Can you just tell the audience where to find you? And,
yes. In case, fact, I was going to say,
I see some comments that the presentation was welcomed very well. So maybe you could just say where you can be found for discussion.
Sure. I understand, like I said, we had very limited time. This solution addresses multiple concerns. I mean, AIT bots is one of them. There are many others, and even bots themselves are quite complex. Even AIT, there's multiple types. So I do encourage anyone who wants to contact us. If they contact me directly, I will reach out to them. Or even if they want, they can reach us on sales@haud.com, and we would be happy to discuss further, even ideas, right? Suggestions to support both ends, as I said, the CPaaS and the brands in this initiative, basically, to protect this channel. Thanks a lot for your attention, everybody. Thanks for the questions, Joanna. And I think
thank you very much, Ron. Thank you for your presentation time. Thank you, Susie, for having us. That's all from us today.
Thank you very much to both of you. Thank you, HAUD, for sponsoring the event. Thank you for bringing a few more numbers behind the AIT topic and highlighting how HAUD can detect and what HAUD can do to support the industry. A big thank you from our side.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.